Oh, and while most of the eyes are on all the Democratic primary elections, President Trump isn't running unopposed in his own party. He's facing off against two other candidates on the Republican side. He won easily there in the race there for president here in Mississippi. De La Fuente and Bill Weld, they were the ones who challenged him here, but he won with 99% of the votes, and so he went big here in the state of Mississippi, where he's very popular. Earlier tonight, we heard from a spokesperson from the president's 2020 campaign, and here's what she had to say.
They are two sides of the same coin when it comes to Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. You see that Bernie Sanders' policy, his thought, has become the standard bearer of the Democrat Party. That means things like Medicare for all, some form of big government takeover of healthcare is on the table for Democrats. Eliminating fossil fuels, the Green New Deal to decimate and try to rebuild this as a socialist economy in this country. Those are policies, it doesn't matter which Democrat makes it across the finish line to try and go against President Trump, that the American people and certainly the people of Mississippi do not support.
Well, joining us now to talk about election night, two political veterans.
That's right, Bobby Vogt, Democratic Party chairman, and former state representative, Republican Mark Baker. Thank you all for joining us again tonight. Big wins for Joe Biden across this, the country, but Mississippi was the first one to be called. How big of a night was that for Joe Biden?
I think it was really big. It was really big. As we're here tonight, there are about 90% of the votes that are tabulated. And Bernie Sanders is about 15.1%. You've got to get a 15% threshold to grab some delegates, so it'll be interesting to see how that last 10% turns. But it appears that Biden has had a pretty good night throughout the nation.
And a big night for Mike Espy.
Huge night for Mike Espy. He has been working to put this together since his last election, so I think we can look forward to
He started his campaign much earlier.
Oh.
Right, yeah, when the last one ended.
A week or two after the last.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. Republicans had a big night through all the incumbents that are running. Really, some of them were contested, but some of them really easily handled that.
No big surprise on the Republican side. They came through strong. The endorsements from President Trump were big. The Trump brand in Mississippi is very important. The stamp of approval is very important, and it showed with Mississippi voters on the Republican side. We're looking at the numbers, and we're seeing. I know Bobby's team had a good night tonight, and it looks like Joe Biden is moving to be the presumptive nominee of the Democratic Party. And we'll see how that goes. And then we're shaping up for November with a big battle royale with Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith and Mike Espy. So it's going to be an interesting next few months in Mississippi.
Mr. Baker, do you see President Trump coming here?
You know, I do. I think that we see the impact of the presidential visit. It certainly, I think all will agree that it certainly gave a good solid lift to Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith's campaign when he came. She was campaigning hard, but that was certainly something that helped put her over the edge, over the top, and I think that we'll see that again as we get closer to November. I think you'll see a tandem ticket there in Mississippi. It's important.
Yeah, voter turnout seems to be the big issue for Democrats in the past. How much is that going to play a role come November for if Biden's at the top of the ticket and for Mike Espy?
Oh, I think that I think both parties have a ticket. And the thing about Mark was just talking about President Trump, whether he shows up. Sure, you know, we expect him to show up. The real question is whether he's going to have that same bump that he did. A lot of things have changed. 6 months is a lifetime in politics. So we don't know what November is going to look like, but we do know what the last few weeks and few months have looked like. So the question is it going to be that same bump or not here in Mississippi? You saw Democrats turn out a little bit more than the Republicans did tonight. Does that mean anything going into November? I don't know, other than the Democrats got out and at least voted in what was probably somewhat of a moderate turnout today. It looks like they're going to hit or exceed just a little bit the 2016 Democrat numbers, which was a goal that everybody was looking to do. You've got Scott County that turned out more Democrats than Republicans. You've got DeSoto County that turned out about 3,500 more Democrats than Republicans.
Which is unusual.
Which is highly unusual. And you have some other counties that's happening in. And what does it mean? I don't really know, other than there are some local Democrats who are now out working that have not been working as early and or as late as 2018. So that's what we're looking
So
at.
you see if that momentum continues.
I think that point Bobby makes a great point, and that's something the Republican Party has to look at. The turnout in DeSoto County, they're saying Y'all Politics is reporting it's 25 to 30%. Democratic turnout is 25 to 30% more than in 2016. And so we're seeing some numbers there that we're going to really have to look at. And things are, obviously it's too early to figure out, kind of know what that is or what that means, but this is really important and something that we're going to have to look at very closely as we move into November and see kind of what this turnout means in the primary.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about the Senate race is really the race to watch here in Mississippi between round two between SB and Hyde-Smith. Right?
I think so. You know, this is a big fight that's coming up, and I expect to see national influence on both sides. The money that will be spent on this Senate race will probably dwarf what we have seen in recent history in this election, and it is of critical importance to both parties. It means probably means the difference between the kind of the majority in the Senate and not for the Republicans. And that means, you know, whether President Trump, if he is re-elected, which I think he will be, but we're talking about then appointments of Supreme Court justices. So it gets back to the same cycle again that we saw in this previous election. But it is going to be a hotly contested race, and the Democrats are coming to fight. They're not
All
coming
right,
to
sounds
talk.
exciting. All right, we like
we'll be
that.
saying, and we'll be talking to you much more, I'm sure,
Absolutely.
as things go
Thank you
forward.
both for being
Thank
with
y'all.
us.
Enjoyed it.
And we'll be right back.